Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Full-Time Reds with me and Kev for the LFC Daytrippers. Liverpool 0, Arsenal 0 in the first semi-final of the Carabao Cup at Anfield this evening. Very, very disappointing from start to finish. We had a man advantage for 70, 65 minutes, somewhere along them lines, Kev.
Yeah, in or around.
And just, Kev taught me through, it was awful.
I'd say we'd still be there for another 90 minutes trying to score, and we couldn't score. It's one of those nights. It was. I said to you before we came on, it's the most frustrating night that I've been watching Liverpool in a long, long time, because this is my biggest worry last night, that where the goal's going to come from. Tonight, everything just looked wrong. Everything was going through the middle. It was into the crowds. There was no crosses going in. Everything just looked wrong with it. It was frustrating, to say the least. I mean, and I don't want to go way over the top, but Carragher was right at halftime, and he said, "You're playing against 10. It's not harder playing against 10 men. It just isn't. There's a different way of doing it." And credit to Arsenal for blocking off and defending the way they did. They did it well, because they gave us virtually nothing to feed off. But we didn't help ourselves one bit. We were fucking terrible.
Were you surprised with the lineup?
No. The only surprise I was Milner. I didn't think he needed to play Milner and Henderson. I thought he could have played one or the other, played Ox or Jones. But other than that, doesn't matter. That 11 is good enough to break down most sides. It's not the lineup isn't an excuse.
No, it's not. It's far
No,
from an excuse.
in fairness, it was the most experienced, strongest squad we could have put out.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no arguing with it.
If you had more fringe players there, you can make an excuse, but I don't think you can.
No.
He has Alisson, he has Trent, he's Robertson, he's Van Dijk, he's Matip, he has Fabinho, Henderson, Milner, Jota, Firmino, Minamino. And I think that probably is what can be
on
considered
paper
the strongest.
Yeah,
but like Jealous Struban says, Arsenal didn't have to defend well. We did nothing.
No, that's not true. To be fair is fair. They held their shape really well. The three that dropped into midfield held their position. They didn't get dragged out wide. They didn't allow themselves to be pulled apart. And a lot of sides would have panicked in that situation. They didn't. And it's probably a reflection of the fact they've had 13 red cards in the last 2 years. Yeah. 13. And they're not uncomfortable playing with 10 men. And it's only half time today, so it's not the be all and end all. It's not the end of the world. There wasn't 3 points at stake. It's half time in a cup tie. So as bad as it is, it could have been a hell of a lot worse. And I mean, don't get me wrong, tonight was bad. I'm not making excuses for anything.
No, I don't think you can make excuses, Kev. Because they're forced into a change after about 10 minutes.
Cedric
goes off and Callum Chambers comes on, and straight away I'm thinking, okay, that's them knocked out of their rhythm already. The sort of way.
But it almost helped them. In the shape they needed to go into in the end, it helped them having a fourth centre back in a back five, and Tierney plays centre back in a back three. It's not an alien position for him. So they were essentially playing with 5 centre backs.
Yeah.
So I could understand the hesitation in putting crosses in, but at the same time, we saw it towards the end of the game when Nico came on and he was putting crosses in and getting beyond a fullback and putting crosses in. It creates havoc and it creates chances just by putting the ball in. So we could have done so much better, so much different.
Yeah, because they have to make that change, and there's not a lot in it. I think up to the sending off, you're like, it's kind of.
Yeah, they're filling each other out.
Yeah.
I thought we started well.
Yeah, we were on top. Don't get me wrong.
First
10
minutes, I thought we did really well.
Yeah, and we're on top, and we're looking to create, and the tempo was good, and we're not letting them get into any sort of rhythm, and that's fine. And we spoke about it last night, Kev, about getting players in the team to give them minutes, because I think the majority of what played there tonight will play on Sunday. I genuinely believe that. I think, in other circumstances where you're going through fixtures, you'd look at tonight's lineup and you go, well, him, and possibly him will come out for Sunday. But I think this is a case of you're playing tonight and you're playing Sunday. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
But from the start, I thought, yeah, we done okay. The sending off is the big talking point, and like to get away from Liverpool for a minute, how stupid is Granit Xhaka, Kev?
Do you know what? If he'd have given away a penalty, it wouldn't have been a red card because there's no double jeopardy.
Yeah.
By committing the foul where he did, it was straight red. He was never winning the ball. He knew where Jota was. It was an idiotic challenge. And Jota, they said it in the commentary and they were dead right. Jota had so much to do from there.
Yeah.
To round the keeper who was coming out, and then Gabriel was coming across, I think, at him. He had an awful lot to do, but Xhaka just does what he does. He does this. He's got that mad red streak in him that he thinks it's a Lovren moment. When he thinks he can do something when he just can't. And it changed everything. It changed the game. I never feared that we were going to concede. Never once, no matter what they did, I never feared that we were going to concede. But I thought it was going to be really difficult with the players that we had on the pitch to carve open chances with a side who were set out to play for a draw and happy with a draw, especially with the players that Arsenal had on the pitch, with the 5 centre-backs, the 3 sitting, and Lacazette being a nuisance. I thought it was going to be a hard night's work unless we got one early, and we just didn't.
No, we didn't, and 0 shots on target, says Zoko.
No, we had one in the end.
One in the end, I think it was, yeah. Again, 10-man Arsenal is extremely frustrating to watch. And yeah. Kev, I'm gonna throw it out there. And look, there's loads of people in the chat very, very upset. I'm not gonna go down the extreme avenue. There's people talking there about squads imploding. This team are finished. The wheels are falling off the season. And they've every right if they want to feel that way. I don't feel that way. I just feel we were poor tonight. There's also the usual stuff around lack of investment and players not being signed and stuff like that.
That's fucking boring at this stage now.
Well, look,
I'm sorry, that shit is just fucking boring me at the minute.
Well, it's going to happen, Kev, because
but it doesn't matter because that 11 that's on the pitch and with the players that came on, it's enough. It should be enough.
Yeah.
More often than not, we've lost 2 games this season, and more often than not, that's enough. That 11 is enough, and there's no excuse for saying it isn't. Saying the team is finished and washed up is absolute bollocks. We've lost 2 games all season. Catch on to yourselves a fucking small bit.
17 shots, 1 on target, says Jason Chadbourne.
Don't get me wrong. I was
discussing Hendo in his future, asked Kevin Ball. Well, I wanted to touch on the midfield. That was what surprised me, Kev. The fact he goes in against Arsenal, who are putting out wherever they can, but the fact he goes in with, for me, 2 players that their natural thing is to defend and hold, and Henderson, who is a bit more forward thinking in my opinion, but hasn't been good at it, if you know what I mean. Like over the last while, Henderson just hasn't suited what they've looked for him to do. If we shift back to what our midfield used to do, which was work as a tree and be functional, I think it's fine. But I think Henderson is starting to struggle in what's being asked of him in a creative sort of way. I'm not going to tell you anyone should be fucked out of the club. I'm not going into that. It's a terrible performance. I'm not going into that, though, right? But what I will say is I'm getting a little bit tired of loopy, chippy fucking balls and passes all over the place. When there's no need for it. And it's a bad, I think Trent is awful.
I thought Trent was the worst player on the pitch tonight.
Yeah, no, there is players there, and do you make some sort of allowance for them in the fact that he's been out, he's had COVID, he's probably hadn't trained, they're bringing him in, and that's why I thought tonight, what you're seeing tonight is what you'll see close to on Sunday. It was.
But I put this one up. I put this on Klopp. He was asking Trent to do something that the game shouldn't have happened in the game. Trent was inside when Trent should have been outside.
But Trent is
And
inside because of the midfield he picks, Kev.
I know, but it wasn't. You can still play that holding, functional, containing midfield against 10 men, but you have to have width. Trent should have been outside, and Jota should never have been where he was, playing as a wide right player, trying to do what Salah does. It's not his game. Jota, they should have gone, and what he did in the end when Jones came on is he went 4-4-2, and he stretched the pitch.
Yeah.
But Trent should have been wide as possible. Not once did Trent do his, and it's a trademark for now, that crossfield pass. If you're playing against 5-3-2, 3 men in the middle, the space is wide. And not once did he just move it out of his feet and whip a ball across the pitch to Robbo on the other side to where the space was. Didn't happen. They kept playing in triangles and trying to work balls through the middle that was just too congested. All of that's on Klopp. He saw the game in front of him, like the rest of us did, and everyone, to a man, was saying at half time, stop going through the middle. There's no space there. Go wide. Go wide to go back in. But to do that, Trent had to be on the outside. Robbo had to be on the outside and the other side. And it happened when Jones came on. I thought when Jones came on, we looked a lot better, but still, the movement of the front players was non-existent. They didn't pull the centre-backs around at all.
I don't know if that, I think a different midfielder in there for a Henderson or a Milner makes a difference, Kev. And what I mean by that is that Jota has great movement. Okay? He can play down the right, he can play down the left, wherever you want him to play, he'll play. He has great movement. Minamino likes to get into these little spaces and try to be that sort of player, right? Wasn't good tonight. Terrible miss as well.
Yeah.
And Firmino loves dropping off and committing team, centre halves or whatever it might be, or get in between centre halves and full-backs and make things happen. And that's fine. But for me, when I looked at that midfield, Kevin, and I kind of went, what? Them 3 in midfield? And then as the game went on, I was like, oh, fuck, I hate to be right, but this just isn't working. When you have players like that up front, because look, if you have Salah up front, right, he's going to commit probably 1, 2, possibly 3 of their players towards him when he has the ball. So he's going to probably do something special, or he's going to create space for Firmino inside him, or a midfielder coming, or Trent, who doesn't have to go inside because he knows when Salah gets it, all I have to do is get outside him and cause some trouble. You know, the sort of way.
Yeah.
When you have Mane, now people lash Mane, but Mane is very good at picking up those spaces on that kind of inside left position. And what it does is it allows him to link with a forward player in Firmino, or the central forward player, and also allows Robertson to know where he's going, right? But when you don't have them two, you have to look somewhere else in the team to find that somebody that's going to open up. And it should have been from midfield for me. It should have been, I would have played Curtis Jones.
I would have as well.
Right.
I had him in the team last night, but I had him over.
Curtis Jones, and this isn't hindsight. I think I think I had him in the team as well.
Yeah.
But the thing with Curtis Jones is that he's good at knowing when to break into them positions because of the way he's played football in the past. He's so good at knowing when to go, when to get into those positions, when to nearly treble up with the left winger and the left back over that side of the pitch and see where he can go, and also that he's good at breaking into the box.
Yeah.
Henderson is now spending too much time in this position where he's like inside right and he's whipping balls and he's doing this. And I just felt the balance wasn't right there, especially for what way we wanted to play, B, the opposition we had, and C, the way the game was going when a red card comes about. And it just doesn't seem... And you have to put that in Klopp, and before people go, you can't say anything about Klopp, and you can't fucking... And Klopp's the best things we've seen since Paisley, in my opinion. But you have to look and go, come on. What you need is, if you want your fullbacks to be creative, you need someone in midfield that's going to take up positions to allow them to go and do that. You know, to influence the forwards, to move and let fullbacks get involved. But when your right back is standing in an inside right position, you know something's wrong. That's not for me a tactical thing. That's a thing where you're trying to force something, and it just didn't feel right, Kev.
No, the first half everything seemed rushed to me as well. I mean, it was get this goal, get this one, and the rest will just flow. And it was there was no plan. There was it just everything just felt forced. I agree with you with Milner or Henderson. Either or, it wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference. It was. I had Jones starting over Taki last night for the reason that I thought he could influence coming in on his right, and he could do a job in midfield as well if they wanted to change it to a 4-4-2. But I just thought tactically, substitution wise, everything. Klopp had an absolute mare tonight, but that's not to say that those 11 that he started with should still be enough to get a win against 10-man Arsenal. At least force Ramsdale to do more. You know, there's ways of losing. I mean, there's no shame in drawing games to it against 10 men. It's happened throughout football, up and down the
Yeah,
leagues,
it has.
over the years. It's always happened. But to limit yourself to virtually no shots, no efforts, no efforts on target
But that
in
comes
that
back.
time
But
is
that comes
shocking.
back to, Kev. For me, that comes back to the way we're set up and the way we go out to play. Like, look, you're definitely going to get people tonight. I'm not even going near social media, right? But you're definitely going to get people tonight going, we need fucking 3 signings in the next 3 weeks. Look, one game without such and such, and look what's happening, right? Definitely going to get people going, season is over, forget about it. We can't go to Arsenal and win. You're going to get all that. But when you look at when you look at it cold, as I like to say, and you said it earlier, there was enough there. But the way we implemented the players that were on the pitch, but the team we picked, I think, was wrong, right? Probably
Yeah,
one player wrong for me, right? If you're going to go that strong, but the way we implemented it on the pitch, Kev, just wasn't right. It just, and I'll put it to you this way: I don't care if they've 10 or 11 men. You need to be making that pitch bigger. You need
yeah.
to be moving. And you see, the thing is, it can all fall down because, especially with our midfield, and I keep going back to it. Our midfield used to be functional and used to work hard and press and get it to the front three. And then for a little while, people were saying, "Are we getting enough from midfield?" So we looked to get more from midfield by saying, "Right, we're going to have protection in a Fabinho, we're going to have control in a say Thiago. On the left side, we're going to try control, and on the right side, we're going to get a little bit of freedom, right?"
Yeah.
But when you pick a midfield like that, Kev, there's not enough freedom there
No, there
because,
isn't.
all right, I'm not saying Henderson can't pass the ball well. I'm not saying he can't cross it well. I'm not saying he can't do this well. But Milner isn't controlling the game for you beside him.
Mm.
Milner's impacting the game and he's getting stuck in, but he's not controlling a game. He's not turning out like a Thiago and hitting good passes to get us on the move really quickly. Now, people will tell you, look, Thiago isn't around, like he's injured, and there's issues there with Thiago as it is. But it can fall down, Kev. And the way I think it falls down is when you pick that, I think Klopp looks at it and goes, you know, oh, we put these in. There's no way Klopp goes in there tonight for me and says Milner and Henderson will have enough creatively to open up Arsenal, because he has to know that Arsenal are coming and they have a lot of injuries or COVID or AFCON and stuff like that, and they're
Yeah.
not patching the team together, but they're putting players where they don't usually be, because there's a strong enough side from Arsenal. You can't go in there thinking that, Kev. The
No.
midfield thing it is bugging me a little bit.
The other side of it as well, talk about the midfield, but you look at the front three, it's not Mo and Sadio playing on the wings. And you have to tailor what your system is and how you play a game to the forwards that you have as well. And the front three that we played today, that is not their game. You know, almost all of them, I think, are players who want to come to the ball, want the ball to feet and play 1-2s and get in around the box. It's not their game to stretch sides. And maybe it's a case that tonight the shape should have changed to accommodate the players that we had playing up front. I still, for the life of me, I don't understand why Curtis Jones didn't start. I cannot work out why he wouldn't have started, because it was a game, or Ox, either or, because both of them have been doing okay when they've started. So I just don't get it. I can't work out what the plus side was for playing those three in midfield with the way they lined up the front three as well. With Jota playing wide right and Taki playing wide left, or playing inside left. When Taki was at Salzburg, he did play right. So he's comfortable enough playing in that wide right role. And Jota at Wolves was comfortable playing in the left, plays for Portugal on the left. I just don't get it. It's just weird.
I, I could have made the argument before the game to nearly go a bit like a diamond.
We talked about that last night. I think
And
it was
Conroy. You could have
picked
done if you done. I think you get more out of them if you said, right, Fabinho, Henderson, Milner. If you're going to start, we're going to put Minamino in front of you, and we're going to put Jota and thing up front, and we need both guys on each side of that diamond to basically act like the functional midfield we used to have, and you look after Trent and you look after Roberts when they go forward. Now that's not allowing for Trent being awful, right?
No, yeah.
But you could have made an argument for that. I think you have. I'll ask the question, and before I do, sorry, Declan Max has just got in from the game. Gav, I want to headbutt a window after that. It was so frustrating. It was very frustrating. And
it was
with 65 minutes, with a 70 minutes when you add in injury time, with 10 men, with 10 men, you genuinely have to look and go, lads, come on, there has to be more. But against that, we never look to change it. We never look to do something different. We never look to. In my opinion, we never looked to stretch it. We just never looked to do really much with it. Do you know the sort of way? And
it wasn't until Curtis came on that they did change it. That Curtis stayed wide, and at least he tried to pull Callum Chambers out, and he did create space with Robbo and Taki on that side. But with 20 minutes to go at 0-0. Arsenal are holding on for dear life, and at 0-0 they had something to hold on to, so it was going to take something, to break them down. And we had the one chance. I mean, that one at the end with Taki, he either clips that right, or if he does what he does, it goes skyrocketing over. It's one of those, if you catch that right, it rifles into the net, and he just didn't catch it right. It's one of those. But I would have been shocked if it went. The way the night was going, I would have been absolutely fucking shocked if it went in.
Do you think Klopp would look at it afterwards and say to themselves, "I got that wrong"? Because what I'm thinking of is now, Kev, we play Brentford at the weekend, right? Then we have Arsenal away, which is going to be a belter. To be honest with you,
will be now.
I know tonight wasn't great from either side because Arsenal weren't doing much anyway.
No,
and that was their right to come and do that. Fair enough. But then we have Palace, and you're going to get a lot of teams that are going to do what Arsenal done today. What do we do to change it? Do you think he looks at it and goes, "Yeah, I got it wrong. I need something more creative in midfield. If I have this front three, I have to be able to adapt a bit more." And that's the first question. And the second question, because loads of people are throwing it in here, will this little period start to show up some players and nearly make Klopp's mind up for him on their futures at Liverpool?
The ones that are on the pitch, yeah, maybe for one. I'm thinking of Taki. I think Milner's made his decision. He's going in the summer. But the rest of them, the other 9, they're all fine. They're all safe as houses. They're going nowhere. I almost wish that it stayed 11v11, because I think the longer it would have gone 11v11, we'd have created more chances because they would have came out and they would have carried on trying to play. We'd have created more chances that way by counter-pressing them. It was when they decided to stand off that it made it a lot harder. Whether Brentford will do the same at the weekend, who knows? We'll see on Sunday when he names the lineup if he's taking responsibility for tonight or not. Because if he goes the same again, then he's putting it on the players. But personally, I think it's on him. It is on him because that lineup, the tactics in game, the changes he could have made and didn't, they're all things that he can affect. The substitutions that he made, I understand why he made them. Trent was having an absolute shocker, but there was a good argument for the way the game was that Curtis should have come on at halftime.
Mm.
You know,
Because
there was no threat from Arsenal. There really wasn't.
no, there was no
They
threat
were
from
doing
Arsenal.
nothing.
Genuinely, I give anything to see Saka in the Liverpool shirt. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, or Martinelli. I like him as
Martinelli's
well.
quality, but I think Saka,
Yeah,
just something about
Saka's
Saka where I just
different
see him in a
mustard. Yeah,
Liverpool shirt and going, yeah, that'll suit. Jason Grace and some others have said 3 goals in 263 minutes this season, and 2 of those have been penned. So frustrating against 10 men. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely. It absolutely is. Laszlo says the red card absolutely ruined it. What's the chance of beating Arsenal at the Emirates as Anthony McConville? Every chance.
good. Every
Every
chance.
chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's one of those like I'm not making excuses, but we are in a period where we're missing a few players, and there's all sorts going on with players recovering and stuff like that. But that's not an excuse for tonight, because he still picks the team that I should win, the sort of way. But like when it comes to it, when it comes down to it, I think you're right, Kev. I think they had enough. They had enough to win it tonight. They didn't show up. They didn't play, and
too many players had off nights. Even the set pieces, we had a rake of corners.
yeah, and Robertson's were awful.
And Arsenal have been atrocious at defending corners as well. So it's not their. It's far from their strength, and we couldn't put a ball on the penalty box or on the penalty spot and say to Virgil and Joel, go and attack it. And it was from start to finish, from 1 to 11. Not one of them. Actually, the only one who can come out of this with any kind of credit or saving grace is Alisson, because he had fuck all to do.
Yeah, thought Matip was okay.
He was all right. He defended well, but it's all well and good when he goes on one of those mazy runs once in a while. But when he goes on those runs because there's fuck all else, then there's a big problem.
Shawnee says, Shawnee Lawson of this parish says, squad not up to a fringe players not available, and when they aren't good enough. That has been said on this channel numerous times over the last 18 months possibly, and I am guilty. I hold my hands up. I'm guilty of being one of those in the summer that says, maybe we get this or maybe we get that, and the maybes haven't turned up. And that's just the way it is. And we speak every day at 2:00 about possible transfers and different things, and 2022 being the year and stuff like that. But there was some showing there tonight where I just went, nah, you know what I mean? Just not for me. But from an Arsenal point of view, Kev, how happy are they to see a midfield, especially with Henderson and Milner in there? Because surely they would have been looking, going, they're going to drop someone in here.
I thought, if you're an Arsenal player, you're looking at that, you're thinking, okay, we might not have the ball, but when we break with pace, we can create chances that way. And with Nketiah up front, you had Saka on one side, Martinelli on the other side, and that's what they played for. They played for trying to win the ball in the midfield and break from there, and that was their whole game plan. Whatever they don't concede, but try and nick something, and that's fair enough. That's a solid enough game plan. But the lineup that they had plenty of pace up front. So seeing the two 8s that we played, they'd have been ecstatic at that, because let's face it, Henderson and Milner aren't running away from anyone. No matter what happens, they're not going to be running away from any one of their midfielders, even on a bad day. So, yeah, look, we just fucking missed a trick tonight, big time.
Yeah, we did, and like you said, and there's not a lot more to say, isn't it? Like, we didn't show up, and not enough players showed up. I even thought Van Dijk was a bit ropey at times as well. And somebody says it there, actually, that's what reminded me of it. It said that Matip got him out of a hole a couple of times. I'm trying to get it up there.
When the ball was in the air, Virgil was fine. He was winning the balls in the air pretty good. But I think it doesn't help when you're watching him. He just looks so casual and laid back. He didn't get beaten at all, and it was just even him with his passing tonight. There was no passes. There was no diagonals. Everything was careful and measured and safe. It was. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defensively wrong. It was just. I don't think he did anything defens It just looked laboured, if you know what I mean. If that's a way of putting it, I don't know.
Yeah, just I just think it looked. Yeah, labour is probably a good word for it, but I also think it's, and I go back to it again. Just the way we look to play, just wasn't right for me, and that's because of the makeup of the 11. You know,
Yeah,
it's just it's it's just frustrating. I can't, like, if you believe in these players and you believe in the system you're trying to play, you don't pick Henderson and Milner there today. Not
no,
the both of them, right? You pick, if you want to pick Henderson, stick him on the left hand side of the tree, and you bring in, or you leave him where he is, and you say, right, we're switching it over, and Jones is playing, and that's where we're going to let him go free today rather than the right hand side.
well, that's what it
But
started
but that's
as.
but that's but like we keep going on about, yeah, I know, but we
Yeah,
keep going on about, you know, when will these players show up? When will these players show? But like, how much does he believe in them if he's leaving the players that probably should start on the bench? The ones that suit what you're trying to do. If that's what you're trying to do, is this kind of new hybrid tree that he's trying to do,
yeah.
and it has worked well this season at times.
I mean, there was a strong argument to play Chamberlain and Jones with Fabinho sitting, there, because at least it offers you players who can run, who will run beyond the forwards. You know, they're quick enough, they're mobile enough, they get around the pitch okay, their passing is good enough. You know, they sense danger okay. And Arsenal were never going to be that kind of a threat. They were never going to dominate the ball. They were never going to try to dominate the ball, no matter what lineup they could put out. You knew in your heart of hearts that the best Arsenal that could have put out was not going to be one that could dominate the ball. So there was no excuse for that midfield to play together tonight. None.
Yeah, they
I could
weren't going to
understand it.
dominate the ball, and
I
what you
could
look at up front,
understand
what you look at
if
up
you're
front, and what you look at up front from them, and what you have wide, you should be expecting their back four to deal with it, and Fabinho.
yeah,
So
and
now it's about taking advantage of Arsenal going the other way. And for me, we sat two players in there that, one hasn't been good for a little while now in Henderson, and the other one is in a position where in our system should be controlling the game, and he's not there. He's not that sort of player.
yeah, he's 20 minutes to go, and you want to come and lock a game down. You know, and he's good at it. Don't get me wrong. If you were playing against a side, if you were playing against a Man City tonight, you'd play that midfield because you're not going to have much of the ball,
Mm.
and you want to keep your shape, and you want to press when you can in the right areas, tactically aware and what have you. If you're going to play against those kind of a side who are going to try and dominate the ball, but for the game that was there tonight at home, nah, it was just all fucking wrong. It,
Yeah.
it was just wrong, and especially with the forward three that he picked. You
Well,
know,
with what you're putting in midfield isn't complementing that forward three at all.
no,
I'd understand that midfield if you had Jota, Mane, and Salah up front.
yeah,
I go, that's fine. That's
yeah,
fine, because you know you're going to get something special out of something either side. You know, and Jota has brilliant movement. So even if Henderson wants to stand in that pocket all day and start whipping these balls in, Jota will get his head in something. And
yeah,
but not only that, you will have Salah causing murder, and Trent then gets into positions where he can whip it. But it starts turning. For me, it starts turning into a performance of last season when we were getting beaten at home week on week, where it was just like, oh, throw it out there, fling it in, but there was no direction to it. It was
no.
just fling it in and hope for the best.
And tonight we weren't even fucking doing that. It was get it wide. Oh, okay, we'll bring it back again, and then we'll recycle it out the other side, and we'll do the same again, and then it'll break up and play, and we'll go and win it back again because Arsenal hoof it up 50 yards. We'll take a throw, and then we'll just go and do it again.
Yeah,
It was just that's why I said at the start it was the most frustrating 95 minutes of football that I've watched in a long, long time.
yeah. I want to just bring this point up here, because John was in Ivy Nice. I'll throw it up
Yeah,
here. He said, "I've said numerous times if Klopp knew he was getting properly backed, he would have binned off many of these players. He's being loyal because he has to. You just can't get rid of players without replacements." I don't really know where to go with that, Jono. It's a big show. It is a big show, but like, I think if you take, say, and he's not involved tonight because he's at the AFCON, but if you take a Keita as an argument, right? and you think you can get 30 million for him, just say 30 million in the summer, and you are going to give the 30 million to Klopp to reinvest it into another player, I don't know if he'll do it, John. I still don't know if he'll do it, because I think he perseveres with players because he does actually believe in them. He does actually believe in them. And me, you, Kev, anyone out there as a layman is looking at it going, look, this player in particular isn't turning up. Shawnee said it earlier. These backups aren't available, and when they are, they're not good enough. You know, and we've said it. It's been said quite often on this channel. And that's why I get annoyed over the whole backup thing, because I fucking hate the word backup. I want you to go and get me the two best you can. No, I'm not saying the best of the best. I want you to get me the two best you can in any position, and then we won't discuss backup. We just discuss who's fucking better. They're both great, but who's better? Who's on form? And alright, one might be injured, the other fella's is good. One might be on good form, it's grand. One might be out of form, grand. The other fella's is good. It goes both ways. You know, Herschel says loyalty to a fault. It says
it's a double-edged sword, loyalty. Because
it is, and it's hard to. I know where John was coming with that, but it's hard to kind of some of it. There might be some truth in it, but some of it I still think there's a loyalty there from him anyway. You know, sort of way. And this isn't going to be like, I don't want this show to be tonight to be a reaction to the Arsenal game and all of us going, Klopp should be getting rid of all them. And Klopp, I don't want that. We should be just reacting to what the match is. But you do have to look. It's more the selection for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's more the selection for me where you go, these are meant to be your players that you want in the team if people are missing. Okay, they might not be first choice, but they're next in line. They're not backup. They're next in line. But you know, and they're pushing, and he doesn't pick two of them for me. You know, or at least one of the two in an Oxlade-Chamberlain or a Jones, and then that affects what you have going forward. If Klopp got 80 million to spend last summer, 100% Ox, Keita, both gone, and Klopp buys a couple of young mids, he's not as stupid as some of these players aren't. He knows some of these players aren't up to it, but he has no choice. But this is where it goes back to, John. Like it's one of those where we keep getting fed this stuff, and there's nobody on this channel that has ever told you the squad is perfect. I don't think there is. No. There is people on this channel that would say, no, I like the squad, it's good, maybe one more, maybe could have done this, maybe could have done that. There's no one out there shouting from the rooftops that it's the best squad you've ever seen. But we kept getting fed about, you know, 2022, and we're going to just have to wait and see. We are going to have to wait and see, because for me, it's starting to look to me like, and this isn't just a reaction of tonight, it's starting to look to me that when we call on certain players, still going back a long time, they just don't show up, or they're not picked. And if they don't, even if them not being picked is actually more upsetting, I think, than them being on the pitch and not playing well. You know, sort of way. That's the one where
that's it. That's it in a nutshell. If Ox and Jones had got 90 minutes tonight and it was 0-0 against 10 men, you could say, yeah, fair enough. But when they're getting 15, 20 minutes at the end of a game, what the fuck? You know, it's a strange one, isn't it? You're spot on what you said, and you're dead right. It's like, these are the games that they're for. You know, yes, it's a semi-final, but it was a semi-final at home where you're going to control it, where you want to control it and you want to attack the game. One of them had to start. Had to. There's no... I'm looking forward to seeing the team sheet Sunday, because that'll tell me whether Klopp is taking this as he got the selection wrong, or whether he's saying, nope, I was right and they didn't implement what I did or what I wanted them to do. It's one or the other.
Yeah. But it's not like they did not implement what he wanted to do and it got changed, because it just seemed the same.
Yeah.
You know, so that makes you think that that's what they're being told to play. But there's only so much you can get out of a certain selection. You know, there's only so much you can get out of a selection, and that selection for me just looked a bit not negative,
safe.
Yeah, that's exactly the word. It looked a bit,
you know,
safe.
And I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's not as frustrating and as annoying as the performance was. It's halftime. It's halftime in the semi-final. that we're so well in still, and it's not a case of. I mean, like I said, if we'd have lost, if they'd have nicked something, if they'd have nicked one, and we'd have had to go there and score 2 or 3, then it's a different kettle of fish. But it's 0-0, and the only plus, and it is only one slight plus, is the players got minutes in their legs that needed it, and
That's
we'll
why I
see.
think. That's why. That's
We'll
why I
see
think
on
you'll
Sunday.
see a similar side on Sunday.
I think it'll be similar.
He might
I
change
hope
one
he
in
changes
midfield.
one.
I think.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he does change one in midfield and maybe 2. I hope he plays Ox and Jones and takes Milner and Taki out of it,
Yeah.
and does something where Bobby and Jota are closer together. Whether he plays a diamond or whether he plays a 4-4-2, whatever way he wants to do it, I couldn't give a flying fuck. But Jota and Bobby need to be closer together. But Jota does not need to be wide on the wings. He needs to be in the middle, affecting games. And Bobby needs to be dropping off, linking up the play between the midfield and the forward line.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, but look, it's a very frustrating night.
Yeah.
I think it did show up a couple of things, and that's fair. You're allowed, like, you will get people going completely over the top, and that's their prerogative. But you are allowed to come in and say, like, and we're allowed to say it, and people in the chat will say, "Oh, look, that wasn't good enough. I still believe he's not good enough," because it's all about opinion, and it's all about what you see. You know what I mean? Nobody's wrong. At the end of the day, you have an opinion, I have an opinion. I don't agree with you, you don't agree with me. We might agree on something, you don't know.
Yeah.
But it's one of those nights that's very, very frustrating, and it's actually quite easy to pick holes in certain things when you see a performance like that. And in fairness, we get beaten away at Leicester. We win an FA Cup game, but you've had the draw with Spurs, you've had the defeat to Leicester,
draw to
Chelsea, this draw tonight, and there is people saying, look, Klopp is saying we're well prepared going into this period without Mane, Salah, and Keita and stuff like that, but look at it now and stuff like that. That's his belief. That's what
he also has to say as well. I mean, he's hamstrung in that way that he can't come out even if he wanted to and say anything different, because the dressing room are looking at what he's saying. Yeah. They have to believe that they're in the best possible position to go at this month without their 2 best forward,
and that the team, I suppose, that's left there is, he has belief in them.
Yeah, you can't expect Klopp to turn around and say, "Well, I wish I had X, Y, and Z because I wouldn't be playing this fella," and then you'll just see the dressing room implode. Yeah. That's what happens at clubs when you have managers coming out publicly talking about players, especially in a modern age. It never ends well, and Klopp will never, ever, ever do it. So don't expect him to.
Yeah,
and Klopp will lie through his teeth at times as well when he needs to. So.
Well, there's 2 wins and 6. Says Jason, he thinks it's 2 wins and 6. Let me see. Kevin says, even looking at the Inter game, I don't feel confident at all. Zocco says, I completely understand the fans' frustration tonight. Played 65 minutes at home against 10 men. Arsenal 1 shot on target. And Jason Gray says one of those wins was on penalties against Leicester. Yeah, it is a difficult period, and the difficult period.
We haven't been playing well.
No, it has included all our best players.
Exactly. You can't put this one on Mo and Sadio and Naby being at AFCON.
Yeah,
we haven't been playing well for probably the last month.
Yeah, and look, teams go through that. They absolutely do go through that.
Yeah,
but and you're gonna end up with calls now from tomorrow to sign everybody.
Sign someone with a pulse.
But look, the chances of it happening, I think, are still slim. But I will say it, and Kev, back me up on this. Shawnee, Keith, you all know it. We've all spoken about it, especially on the Fatback 4 on a Sunday night, that they need to do something. And I'm not asking for seasons to be written off. I'm not asking for players to be written off. I want to come on here and witch hunt the team and the squad and the manager. But there is signs. And again, this isn't it is probably a bit around tonight's game, because there is signs there that you go, you know what, regardless of who's missing, the team that was put out there tonight should have won that game. And when you've seen what went on, you're either going to say it's the manager that's sent him out like that. I think he has with the selection. But other than that, you're looking going, nobody's taking it upon themselves. Nobody's standing out. Like that should, this, you know the way Klopp is saying, you won't see Klopp saying the A, B or C because these players are missing. Players in there should be looking going, they're gone now for 4 or 5 games. I want to try pin down a position or make it as hard as I possibly can. And you just don't see anyone doing it. You just don't. There's nobody there going, geez, it'd be hard to leave him out. You know what I mean?
Or create a situation where I can get a good move in the summer. You know, because if you're do something. Yeah. If you're tacky and you say, right, we go on a run the next 4 or 5 games, and he gets 3 or 4 goals and a couple of assists, plays really well. Sadio comes back into the side. Taki's sat there pissing against the wind. Okay, I might get a good move in the summer on the strength of those performances. You look at it now, it's like, nah. He'd get a mid-table Spanish side will come in for him and he'll do okay.
Yeah.
But
well, look, it's one of those. There's nearly 300 people watching, 106 likes. If I tell Keith or Shawnee about that, they go mad. So hit the like button, will you? Now or on the way out. Please please subscribe if you haven't already. We're doing content nearly every day of the week now, sometimes 2 shows a day. I think we're up around 40 shows a month now, all for free. No paywalls, no subscriptions, no nothing. So if you can hit the like button, the biggest thing you can do with us is like, subscribe, share and comment. That's all we ask. Anything else, it's not going to cost you. It's not going to cost you a penny. It's a couple of clicks of a couple of buttons, and we'll keep going, giving you as much content as we can. Alistair says with a super chat, all gone tits up since Thiago's injury. Yeah, it hasn't been good since Thiago's injury. But again, some people will look at it and say, yeah, but what's Thiago bringing now? Are we seeing 10, 15 games and then gone for 10? And I think he's a fantastic player. But, niggly injuries, some people aren't. Some people aren't overly impressed by that. Sorry, one positive, says R. Allison. One Shrewsbury fan has been arrested following the Hillsborough chance in Liverpool City Centre. I did see that earlier. I don't know who. It might have been you, Kev, that sent it.
Yeah, it was. I sent it on to you.
Yeah, I forgot to mention it. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention it on the show earlier. David Evans says, start charging, Gav. No.
No.
I wouldn't charge for content. No, don't get me wrong. If someone said you need to do 80 shows a month, I might have to go, listen, fucking 80 shows a month. But 40 shows a month, absolutely free, no paywall, no subscription. It's literally a couple of clicks of a button on a daily basis, and that keeps us going. Honestly, it genuinely does. So, but look, it's not been a great night for Liverpool. The tie is not over. There is issues there. We are missing some players. Some players haven't stood up to the plate. I was hoping for a bit of a reaction tonight, but you never know. Minutes in the legs. Let's see a reaction against Brentford, and let's hope we don't. We're not here on Sunday having a similar discussion. Kev, anything else before we go?
No. One thing I would mention: the crowd tonight were unreal. The atmosphere at Anfield tonight. I think it was Macker who was at the game. He was in the chat last night. He said he was at the game with his young fella. The atmosphere at Anfield tonight was electric. It was absolutely bouncing from minute one on. And, fair play to the fans. They stood with the team all the way through. That's all we can do now is go again on Sunday and try and get a positive result.
Yeah, absolutely. Gav, can you explain Super Chat and the money thing? I haven't a clue. I'm lucky. I have a spell checker. Look, Super Chats you can send in, and people think you make a fortune on a Super Chat. You don't. If you send €1 into me on a Super Chat, I think YouTube take 30% of it. It's not something we ask people to do. A lot of channels out there will say, throw in a Super Chat, blah, 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 get your Super Chats in. We never tell you to bring a Super Chat. If people want to, they can, but we never ask for it. And as I said, 30% of it is taken. We earn very little on Super Chats, like very little compared to others, because we don't go looking for it. We actually stopped looking for sponsors for this channel. We've had offers for people to sponsor shows, the whole thing, websites, wherever it might be, and it's just not something that right now it's not something that interests us. All we're interested in is lads coming on here. We've a good core of lads that come on here and talk football, enjoy ourselves, do the shows, head off and get going on the next one, because genuinely the one finishes and I'm on to the next one. trying to work on the next one, get it done. So I usually finish up around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and by 4 I'm setting up a show for 10, and that's how it works at the moment. Super chats go towards the Mbappe fund, says Red Steve. Fuck off, yeah, will you? Fuck's sake.
We'll be here a while.
Another channel full of people slagging off the crowd tonight. Well, I'm not interested.
What?
I'm listening to some might say, but says bonkers. Sorry, bonkers. Do you know what? If you check out, some might say, the demo version on Spotify, it's a quality version of that song. So there you go. Let me see if there's anything else before we go. Super chats was the key, says Antoine. No, they're not the key here. Genuinely, we're just here to talk, have a laugh, few cans. Kev takes a drag on a smoke. And yeah, that's all we do. And like I said, if you like, if you subscribe, if you share, and most importantly, if you come in here and contribute in the chat, yeah, that does for us. That absolutely does for us. That has been the Full-Time Reds. Anything else before we go, Kev?
No, mate. I just want to go and have a can now.
Okay, well, I'm going to edit this, get it out as an audio podcast for people to listen to tomorrow, and get working on the Cop Update show for 2 p.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
it'll be AFCON roundup tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm here at 2 p.m. tomorrow with any Liverpool news, and there'll be loads of reaction over tonight's game. So I'll try get some of that in, and any of the news that's going on for Liverpool or anything vaguely related to Liverpool. But the chat is huge in that show as well, where people come in and throw stuff at me, and we can have a chat about it for a half an hour. Kev and Chris will be back with the Sports Unplugged show tomorrow from 10 p.m. And then we've Saturday off, I think, and we're back Sunday with 2 shows. So I hope you make sure you just hit all the buttons that you're meant to hit. Is that all right? Kev, thanks a million. That has been the Full-Time Reds. Liverpool 0, Arsenal 0. We go on to Brentford on Sunday, and we go on to the second leg at the Emirates next Thursday night.
Well done.
Yeah, talk to you in a bit. Over now.